I never thought I'd be the one posting a long, messy breakup, but my hands are still shaking. I'm Travis, 42, a self-made man from Lansing, IL. Last month, everything I built came crashing down thanks to my ex-wife, Tiffany. This is where it all went wrong. NGL, my life started rough. Lansing, IL, isn't exactly a playground for future millionaires. You learn to make your own way, whether it's by the book or, well, let's just say you learn to adapt. I hustled from a young age, always looking for an angle, a way to get ahead. That raw, street-smart background. It wasn't just my past, it was my damn training for everything that came next. I worked my ass off, though, pulling myself up by my bootstraps. Started with small-time real estate flips, then vending machines, even a coin exchange business. Nothing fancy, just steady, honest work that built me something from nothing. I was proud of that. Self-made, you know? Then I met Tiffany. She was a small-town girl from Seymour, Indiana, a paralegal who seemed sweet and grounded. We connected, married, and had our daughter, Chloe. For years, things were good, normal. We built a life, a family. I thought we were a team. But then her career really took off. Suddenly, she wasn't just a paralegal, she was the paralegal. Bigger cases, bigger paychecks, and with that came bigger demands. New friends, new tastes, a whole new level of success she wanted to flaunt. I started seeing red flags everywhere. She started pushing for a move to Wilmette, some super expensive place she'd always dreamed of. I hated it. It felt like a gilded cage, not a home. I was a Lansing guy, not a North Shore Country Club member. I felt like an accessory in my own damn life, watching her play Mrs. High Society. The real shift, the one that still makes my blood run cold, happened when I started noticing her phone habits. Always glued to it, always face down, always taking calls in another room. IDK, call it a gut feeling, or maybe the investigator in me kicking in. I bought one of those tracking apps, the kind that connects to iCloud. NGL, it felt dirty, but my gut was screaming. One Tuesday night, her phone showed her at some dance studio in the city. A late meeting, she said. I drove down there, parked my truck, and just watched. Saw her walk in, saw a guy meet her, saw them hug a little too long. I almost lost it right there. Instead, I went inside, pretending to look for someone, trying to play it cool. I went to the men's room, just needed to splash water on my face, compose myself, and that's when I heard it. Two guys talking in the stalls. One voice was unmistakable. It was him, and he was talking about my wife. He was laughing, telling his buddy, "Yeah, Tiffany's amazing. Her husband's clueless. She says he's too busy with his coin crap to even notice." My whole world just imploded. I stood there frozen, listening to him describe my wife, my Tiffany, in ways that made me want to rip the door off its hinges. The casual disrespect, the arrogance of it. I heard her name, heard him confirm everything. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold on to the sink. The divorce was brutal. Tiffany's lawyer, a real shark, made it seem like I was the villain, painting me as some uneducated brute. The judge, NGL, he was biased from day one. He ordered me to pay $6,500 a month in alimony and child support. $6,500 for a woman who cheated on me, who actively disparaged me behind my back. It was crippling, a financial death sentence. That's when the first spark of pure, unadulterated vengeance hit me. I figured if they want their money, they're gonna get their money, but on my terms. I arranged an armored truck, the kind you see picking up cash from banks. Filled it to the brim with coins, nickels, dimes, quarters, all $6,500 of it. Had them deliver it right to Tiffany's lawyer's office. You should have seen their faces, TBH. The driver said it took them hours to count it. Felt good, NGL. Real good. Of course, the next week I got served a subpoena. Tiffany was furious. Her lawyer was screaming about harassment. My resolve just hardened. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Chloe, my daughter, was caught in the middle. She begged the judge to let her live with me. "My mom's a terrible person," she said, her voice so small, so broken. It broke my heart. But the judge, that absolute ass, dismissed her testimony, said she was too influenced by me. Then they pulled out an old psychiatrist's report from when I was dealing with some stress years ago, weaponized it against me, twisting everything to make me sound unstable. The second court hearing was just more of the same. Tiffany's lawyer, still whining about the coins, got the judge to order me to pay by check only. That's when I finally snapped. All the injustice, the gaslighting, the blatant favoritism. I stood up, couldn't hold it in anymore. "This is a kangaroo court," I yelled, pointing at the judge. "You're nothing but a king in your own little kingdom, and you're letting a cheating witch walk all over an honest man." The gavel slammed. "Contempt of court," he bellowed. Didn't even flinch, TBH. He sentenced me to 6 months in Cook County Jail. 6 months. I just looked at Tiffany, who was smirking, and I sneered back, a cold, hard glare. "Good luck getting your money, witch." 6 months in Cook County Jail. For most people, that'd be a breaking point, a wake-up call, but for me, NGL, it was just fuel, more like a pressure cooker for the vengeance I was already cooking up. When they processed me, the strip search, the guards trying to act tough, it was all just background noise. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I'm 6'4", 255 pounds, built from years of hard labor, not some fancy gym. And my past, it stripped me of fear a long time ago. This wasn't scary, it was just inconvenient. The funny thing is, the jail yard brought an unexpected reunion. Tyrell, my old buddy from back in Lansing, from my wilder, delinquent youth, he saw me, did a double take, then his face broke into a grin. "Travis, man, what you in for, King?" "Long story, Ty," I said, but there was a knowing look in his eyes. He knew I always had a plan, always landed on my feet, even when I was doing dumb shit as a kid. Tyrell's loyalty was something else, unwavering. "Anything you need, Trav, you know I got you." Later, during yard time, I confided in him, laid out the whole ugly truth about Tiffany, the affair, the judge, the crippling alimony, how her lawyer friends were all in on it. He listened, shaking his head. "Damn, Trav, that ain't right. You always been straight up." I reflected on my past then, the juvie days. It sucked, but it also taught me to be resourceful, to be resilient. It was what pushed me to build a legitimate life, to get into real estate and make something real of myself. I wasn't going back to that life, but the lessons, those were staying with me. And now they were being repurposed. In that concrete box, my plan started to solidify. This wasn't just about getting even. It was about nuclear revenge, about turning Tiffany's life upside down, inside out, just like she'd done to mine. I knew her vulnerabilities, her insatiable need for appearances, for status. That was her Achilles' heel. I spent those months meticulously mapping out every single move, every counter move. It was like a chess game, but with real lives and real consequences. Terrell was my link to the outside world. He connected me with his network, ensuring that when I got out, the resources I needed would be in place. Cell phones, burner phones, cash, anything I'd need to hit the ground running. I refused to apologize for anything. Refused to show any remorse for what I'd said in court. They wanted 6 months? They got 6 months, every single day. I wasn't giving them the satisfaction of a single concession. Finally, the day came. No fanfare, no tears, just the sound of that heavy door clanging open. I walked out of Cook County Jail, no regrets, no looking back. Just a cold, hard resolve burning in my gut. First thing I did was make sure my businesses were solid. They were. My empire was stable, thankfully. My managers had held things down. But the real work started now. The first critical step. I reached out to Frank. Frank was a PI I'd used years ago for a tricky real estate deal, checking out some shady partners. He was old school, thorough, and discreet. We met at a greasy spoon diner, the kind where nobody pays attention to anybody else. "Frank," I said, pushing a thick envelope of cash across the table, "I need you to dig into Tiffany, everything, every single secret, every hidden asset, every late-night meeting, every personal email, every damn text message, every single thing." Frank raised an eyebrow, counted the bar on, then gave me a knowing nod. "Sounds like fun, Travis. What's the objective here?" "The objective," I said, my voice low and steady, is to make sure her life becomes a living hell, to turn her world upside down, just like she did to mine. I wasn't shaking anymore, just numb, focused. This was a war, and I was just getting started. The real work started immediately after I got out. My meeting with Frank was intense, almost a download of every suspicion, every gut feeling I'd had about Tiffany over the last year. I laid it all out, her sudden spending spree, the way she guarded her phone, the vague explanations for her late nights. I told him about the dance studio, about overhearing her lover in the men's room. I didn't hold back anything. Frank just listened, nodding occasionally, scribbling notes. He's a pro. He knew this wasn't just a simple infidelity case. This was something deeper, something with layers. This is going to require extreme discretion, Travis, he said, looking up from his notepad, and it's not going to be cheap. She's connected, high profile now. I told him money was no object. I just wanted the truth, and I wanted justice. I gave him the first set of targets, Greg, Tiffany's lawyer during our divorce, who I already suspected was more than just a legal representative, and a few other key associates from her firm. I had a feeling Greg was the him I'd overheard. Frank set his team in motion. Round-the-clock surveillance on Tiffany, Greg, and anyone else who looked suspicious. The first reports started trickling in within a week, nothing groundbreaking, but it painted a picture. Tiffany's spending habits were conspicuous, to say the least. High-end boutiques, salons every other day, designer bags. NGL, it made my blood boil, knowing part of that was my alimony. But then came the juicy stuff. Frank observed Tiffany having intimate, expensive dinners with Greg, the lawyer. Not just professional meetings, these were candlelit, hands-across-the-table dinners, the kind you have with your lover, not your legal counsel. The work meetings she claimed she was having. Then came the photographic evidence. Photos of them holding hands as they left a fancy Italian place. A shot of Greg with his arm around her waist, laughing intimately. Another one of them kissing, discreetly, by his car. No doubt about it. They were together. This wasn't just post-divorce moving on. This was happening during our divorce, probably even before it. Greg, the man who represented her against me, was sleeping with her. A major red flag, an ethical nightmare. As Frank's team continued their surveillance, another pattern emerged. Tiffany was making multiple, discreet visits to a specific jewelry store. Not just window shopping, but going in, spending significant time, then leaving. My immediate suspicion went to my wedding rings. Our wedding rings. After the divorce, she claimed she'd lost them. I knew it was a lie, but I couldn't prove it. Now my gut was screaming that she probably sold them, or was converting them somehow, maybe even replacing them. The thought made me sick. Frank also started scrutinizing her financial activities. He began with initial sweeps of her credit card statements and bank accounts, looking for anything unusual. I specifically told him, Frank, look for anything weird, any unusual assets, hidden funds, unexplained wealth. Tiffany always liked money, but now it felt like an obsession. His next report confirmed my suspicions, a pattern of suspicious cash transactions, not huge amounts, but regular, untraceable deposits, and secretive meetings, not just with Greg, but with other individuals I didn't recognize, in quiet cafes or parking lots. Who were these people? What were they discussing? Then, the bombshell. Information surfaced about Tiffany potentially having a safety deposit box. Not at her usual bank, but a different one, out of the way. That added another layer to the mystery. Why would she need a secret safety deposit box? What was she hiding? The final piece of the initial puzzle came when Frank discreetly confirmed Tiffany's engagement to Greg. She was wearing a new ring, a big flashy one. It solidified her long-term intentions with him, confirming that this wasn't just a fling. This was her new future, built on the ashes of my old one. I sat there looking at the photos, reading the reports. My hands weren't shaking from anger anymore, but from a cold, calculating resolve. This was just the tip of the iceberg. I knew it, and I was ready to dive deep. Frank's reports started coming in thick and fast. He was delivering detailed surveillance reports on Tiffany's escalating activities with Greg. They weren't just engaged. They were practically living together, acting like a sickeningly happy couple. Every expensive dinner, every lavish outing, every intimate moment was documented. But that was just background noise to what came next. The crucial PI report landed on my desk one morning, and my blood ran cold. It confirmed Tiffany had been to that jewelry store, the one I suspected, and attempted to sell not one but multiple engagement rings. Engagement rings. Plural. This sent my mind racing. I immediately started researching the specific jewelry store, Goldstein's Jewelers, and its owner, Mr. Goldstein. NGL, my gut was doing flips. Then came the shocking realization. Through Frank's contacts and some deeper digging, it was confirmed the rings Tiffany tried to sell were my original gift to her. The engagement ring I proposed with, the one she swore she'd lost after the divorce, the one I knew she was lying about. Now I had proof. That cold-hearted witch had kept it, probably planning to pawn it off for cash to fund her lavish lifestyle with Greg. I called Frank immediately. I need irrefutable proof, I told him, my voice tight. Photographic and video evidence. I need her red-handed, trying to pawn my original ring. Frank delivered. Within days, I had pictures, clear as day, of Tiffany at the pawn shop counter, holding the ring, negotiating a price. The video even showed her signing the paperwork. My stomach twisted. The betrayal was so much deeper than just the affair. This was calculated theft, a slap in the face, but the rabbit hole went deeper. Frank's further investigation uncovered a secret, undisclosed bank account in Tiffany's name. A separate account she'd never mentioned, never disclosed during our divorce proceedings. Immediately, my mind connected the dots. The expensive Wilmette house we moved into, the one I reluctantly agreed to, we'd taken out a massive mortgage. Could this secret account be linked to some kind of mortgage fraud? Was she inflating her income or mine to secure a loan she couldn't afford? It felt like something she would do, given her insatiable need for luxury. Then another red flag popped up. Frank confirmed multiple visits by Tiffany to a different lawyer's office. Not Greg's firm. This was a smaller, more discreet outfit, specializing in estate planning and trusts. Why would she be there? What was she trying to hide? My next instruction to Frank was specific. Investigate Tiffany's deceased parents' estate. Everything. I have a bad feeling about this. Tiffany's parents had passed away a few years back, leaving her a decent inheritance. She always claimed it was all gone, taken up in some investments. But with everything else coming out, I suspected foul play. And I was right. Frank uncovered damning evidence. Tiffany had been using her deceased mother's credit cards for lavish purchases after her death. Not just once, but a pattern of transactions for months. Designer clothes, expensive trips, salon visits. She was literally spending her dead mother's money, probably draining the estate for her own pleasure. It was sickening. The evidence just kept piling up. Frank found proof of Tiffany fabricating financial documents to secure loans. Not just one instance, but a clear pattern of systemic fraud. She was manipulating paperwork, falsifying income statements, lying to banks. It was clear this wasn't just about cheating, it was about criminal deception. I initiated the process of building a comprehensive legal case, not just for divorce violations, but for fraud, for theft, for financial deception on a massive scale. My lawyers were stunned by the sheer volume of evidence Frank was unearthing. And then another revelation. Frank identified a property Tiffany secretly owned, hidden under a different name, a shell company or trust, a hidden asset she never declared. Another piece of her elaborate web of lies. Sitting there looking at the mountain of documents, photos, and financial statements, I understood the sheer scale of Tiffany's deceit. This went far, far beyond just infidelity. This was a deep, dark abyss of lies, fraud, and manipulation. She wasn't just a cheat, she was a criminal, and I was going to make sure everyone knew it. The time for hiding in the shadows was over. It was time for direct action to confront the people caught in Tiffany's intricate web of lies. My first target, Mr. Goldstein, the owner of Goldstein's Jewelers. I walked into his store, calm as could be, but inside I was a coiled spring. I laid out the irrefutable proof, photos of Tiffany at his counter, videos of her pawning the ring, in the original purchase receipts for my engagement ring, matching the one she tried to sell. Mr. Goldstein, a nervous, elderly man, went pale. He knew he was in deep. "Mr. Travis," he stammered, I didn't know. She said they were her rings. I cut him off. She lied, and you almost became an accessory to theft. Now you can cooperate, or you can face the music. Visibly terrified of legal repercussions, he confirmed Tiffany's actions and, after some convincing, provided all the store transaction records related to her. Every single one. That was a huge win. Next, it was time for Greg. I arranged a meeting with him, unannounced, at his office after hours. He was smug at first, tried to act professional. "Travis, I'm her legal counsel. I can't discuss her affairs with you." I just smiled, a cold, hard smile. "Greg," I said, sliding a stack of documents across his desk, the PI reports, the bank statements, the evidence of her mother's stolen credit cards, the fraudulent loan applications. "Her affairs are about to become your problem. This isn't about divorce anymore. This is about fraud, theft, and potentially accessory charges." His initial defensiveness crumbled into genuine alarm as he flipped through the pages. The color drained from his face when he saw the depth of Tiffany's fraudulent activities. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. What is all this?" he whispered. I laid it out for him, cold and hard. He was engaged to a criminal, a serial liar. Seeing the writing on the wall, seeing his own career, maybe even his freedom, flash before his eyes, he started talking. He admitted to observing some financial irregularities, dismissed them at the time, but now with the weight of my evidence, he saw the pattern. He offered to cooperate. I secured Greg's sworn statement, detailing what he knew, what he'd seen, what Tiffany had told him. He also provided valuable inside information about Tiffany's operations at her law firm, including how she manipulated client accounts and sometimes diverted funds. This was gold. The truth was starting to unravel fast. Meanwhile, Frank was still digging. He discreetly interviewed Dale, Tiffany's older brother. Dale confirmed Tiffany had suspicious control over their mother's finances in the period leading up to her death, and expressed long-held suspicions that Tiffany had effectively cut him out of the inheritance. He'd always suspected something was off, but never had the means or the will to investigate. Evidence surfaced of Tiffany systematically draining her mother's accounts, not just credit cards, but outright transfers, withdrawals. Frank provided official legal documents detailing these questionable transfers of assets from her mother's estate just before and after her passing. It was clear as day. She'd stolen from her own mother. Frank then gave me a comprehensive report on Tiffany's complex real estate transactions. He'd found multiple significant discrepancies in her property dealings, including the hidden property she owned under a different name. It wasn't just mortgage fraud on our house. It was a pattern. She was a master of financial deception. I consulted with legal experts, not just divorce lawyers, but white-collar crime specialists. They confirmed the severe implications of Tiffany's mortgage fraud, the identity theft, the estate fraud. This wasn't just bad, this was criminal. They assured me that Tiffany's illicit activities were not isolated incidents, but an ongoing pattern of criminality, meticulously documented by Frank. At this point, I felt the momentum shift. Every piece of information, every confirmation, every confession was another nail in Tiffany's coffin. I was closing in, piece by logical piece. It was slow, methodical, but absolutely effective. And if you're listening to this, wondering if it gets any crazier, trust me, it does. Stick around to the end to see how life's costly choices unfold. At this point, I wasn't just fuming, I was numb. The sheer scale of Tiffany's deceit was breathtaking. I spent countless hours meticulously reviewing all the collected evidence, and it was an elaborate tapestry of financial frauds. Every document, every photo, every statement woven together to paint a picture of a remorseless con artist. Frank's detailed reports confirmed my worst fears. Tiffany wasn't just screwing me over. She was directly impacting her law firm's clients. Shady billing practices, diversion of funds, exploiting loopholes. This was beyond unethical. It was criminal. And then the discovery of multiple shell corporations, businesses that existed only on paper, designed specifically to hide her illicit assets, laundered money, or obscure the true ownership of properties. NGL, it was impressive in its depravity. I spent days researching Illinois state bar regulations, cross-referencing every piece of evidence Frank found with ethical and professional violations. The list was staggering. Conflicts of interest, misappropriation of client funds, dishonest conduct. She'd broken almost every rule in the book. Her career was not just in jeopardy, it was toast. Frank also uncovered Tiffany's luxury car lease scheme. She was driving around in a brand new high-end SUV financed through demonstrably fraudulent means, falsified income, forged documents. Just another piece of her elaborate facade. My next move was strategic. I approached Tiffany's younger sister, Angie. I knew they had a complicated relationship, but I hoped Angie would be more receptive to the truth. She was initially hesitant, but once I showed her some of the evidence, the stolen inheritance, the fake bank accounts, she cracked. Angie provided further corroborating details of Tiffany's suspicious behavior. She revealed Tiffany's long-standing history of manipulation and insatiable greed within their own family, going back years. She always had to have the best, Travis, even if it meant stepping on people, Angie confided, her voice trembling. I always knew something was off with Mom's money. Then came another shocking revelation. Evidence of Tiffany attempting to blackmail a former colleague at her firm to keep past misdeeds quiet. It wasn't just about covering her tracks now. It was about silencing anyone who might speak up. She was ruthless. I diligently documented every single instance of fraud, every theft, every egregious ethical misconduct. It was a massive undertaking, but every detail mattered. Frank delivered a comprehensive list of all Tiffany's known hidden assets, along with her undisclosed liabilities, debts she'd acquired through her schemes, which would eventually come back to haunt her. To really connect all the complex financial dots, I consulted with a forensic accountant. This guy was a genius. He meticulously traced every transaction, every shell company, every fraudulent loan, providing a clear, undeniable picture of Tiffany's criminal enterprise. And then, another personal twist. Remember that fabricated psychiatrist's report used against me in court? The one that painted me as unstable and unfit? It was confirmed that it was orchestrated through Greg's firm's resources. Greg might be cooperating now, but he was initially complicit. This meant she'd used my own lawyer, my supposed legal representative, to gaslight and destroy my reputation. The depth of that particular betrayal stung hard. With all this, I solidified the multi-pronged legal strategy. We weren't just going for divorce violations. We were preparing to hit Tiffany with a barrage of criminal charges: fraud, identity theft, grand larceny, ethical violations, possibly even elder abuse for her mother's estate. But amidst all this, something else started happening. Chloe, my daughter, she began exhibiting signs of emotional distress, from Tiffany's escalating erratic behavior. Tiffany was probably feeling the walls closing in, and it was making her unpredictable, lashing out. Chloe was confused, scared. That intensified my resolve more than anything else. This wasn't just about revenge anymore, not even just about justice for me. This was about protecting Chloe from a truly toxic, dangerous force. My daughter deserved a mother who wasn't a criminal, and I would make sure she got that piece. The net was closing in, fast. I wasn't just investigating anymore. I was actively setting the stage for Tiffany's total collapse. Every single piece of evidence Frank had gathered, every confession, every document, it was all becoming a weapon in my arsenal for pro-revenge. My legal team, a formidable group of sharks, commenced drafting a series of comprehensive lawsuits against Tiffany. We weren't just filing one, we were hitting her on multiple fronts. These lawsuits encompassed charges of fraud for her financial schemes, theft for her mother's estate and my engagement ring, infliction of emotional distress on Chloe, and severe professional misconduct that would get her disbarred. NGL, the list was extensive. I also arranged a crucial meeting with the Illinois Attorney General's office. This wasn't just civil court anymore. This was about state criminal charges. I laid out the mountain of evidence, the systematic fraud, the theft. They listened intently, their expressions grim. It was clear they saw the potential for a major case. Frank, meanwhile, was closely monitoring Tiffany's reactions. Her financial situation was demonstrably tightening. My prior actions, the coin payment, the inquiries into her accounts, had spooked her. She was making increasingly desperate attempts to liquidate hidden assets or secure new fraudulent loans. She was like a cornered rat, scrambling for an exit. But every move she made, Frank documented. I had also taken proactive steps to protect my assets. The Oak Forest house, my family home before the Wilmette move, was still under contention. I implemented legal safeguards, ironclad agreements to ensure it remained protected and out of Tiffany's greedy reach. She wouldn't be able to use it as collateral for any more of her schemes. Then, a chilling development. Frank intercepted communications indicating Tiffany's growing desperation and, more alarmingly, her attempts to plan an escape from the state. She was looking into moving money, selling off things quickly, making arrangements to disappear. I immediately secured legal injunctions to prevent any attempts by Tiffany to transfer ownership of the Wilmette house or any other significant assets. She wasn't going anywhere. The child custody hearing was looming, and it was going to be the most crucial battle for Chloe. I developed a meticulous plan, integrating all the newly uncovered evidence of Tiffany's character, her criminal activities, her erratic behavior. She was clearly an unfit parent, and I had the proof. Preparing Chloe for court was the hardest part. I had to explain the truth in an age-appropriate manner, without burdening her with the weight of her mother's crimes. "Mommy has made some very bad choices, sweetheart," I'd tell her gently. "Choices that are hurting people, and sometimes those choices have big consequences." Chloe was smart. She understood more than I probably gave her credit for. She just wanted peace. My legal team also prepared to file for a restraining order against Tiffany. This wasn't just a legal formality, it was explicitly to protect Chloe from her influence, her potential lashing out, and her erratic behavior. We wanted to create a safe space for Chloe, away from the impending chaos. Frank was tying up loose ends, gathering final, corroborating evidence from Tiffany's former work contacts. The professional misconduct charges were becoming undeniable, and the state bar would have no choice but to act. I made sure that all gathered evidence was meticulously documented, every timestamp, every signature, every witness. It all had to be fully admissible in court, leaving no room for doubt or legal loopholes. The entire stage was now perfectly set for the inevitable, multifaceted final confrontation. A barrage of legal battles was about to explode. I knew with absolute certainty that Tiffany's carefully constructed world, her facade of success and respectability, was about to crumble into a million pieces. The wait was almost over. The countdown was on. All the years of planning, the months of relentless investigation, it all culminated here. This was the moment before nuclear revenge went live, tying off every last loose end. My legal team officially filed the comprehensive lawsuits against Tiffany. Not in just one court, but in multiple relevant jurisdictions. There was no escape. Simultaneously, I filed a scathing, meticulously detailed complaint with the Illinois State Bar Association, outlining her extensive ethical violations, including misappropriation of client funds, fraud, and professional misconduct. The evidence was irrefutable. Based on my ironclad evidence, the Attorney General's office officially opened a criminal investigation into Tiffany. This wasn't just civil damages anymore. This was about jail time. Felony charges, NGL, that felt pretty good. The day Tiffany was served with the barrage of lawsuits must have been a sight to behold. Her world, so carefully constructed on lies and deceit, began to implode under the immense legal pressure. She was being hit from every angle, civil, professional, and criminal. Her former lawyer boyfriend, Greg, having fully cooperated, proved to be an invaluable asset. He provided key, damning testimony against her, detailing the inner workings of her schemes and confirming her fraudulent activities. His testimony, coupled with Frank's evidence, left her no room to deny. Tiffany, true to form, tried to fight back. Desperate attempts to countersue me, to discredit me, to smear my name. But my legal team systematically shut down every single one of her frivolous filings. Each attempt failed spectacularly, only adding to her legal woes and demonstrating her continued pattern of malicious behavior. I also made sure that the original judge from my contempt case, the one who sent me to Cook County Jail, was discreetly informed of Tiffany's extensive misconduct and fraud. He wouldn't directly be involved in these new cases, but letting him know what kind of person he had blindly sided with, how she used the courts to further her own criminal agenda, was a small, satisfying piece of this whole puzzle. Frank's final detailed report landed on my desk. It outlined Tiffany's increasingly desperate actions, her growing isolation. Her friends from her high society life were abandoning her. Her professional network was crumbling. She had no allies left. Everyone saw her for what she truly was. Securing Chloe's full testimony was paramount. It was emotionally taxing, but we ensured she was supported by professional counselors throughout the entire process. Her words, though painful to hear, would paint a clear picture of Tiffany's instability and unsuitability as a primary caregiver. The Wilmette House, that symbol of Tiffany's ambition and greed, now faced imminent foreclosure. Her financial mismanagement, the fraudulent loans, the hidden debts, it all caught up to her. She couldn't make the payments, and the banks were moving in. It was poetic justice, TBH. I meticulously compiled all financial records, leaving no stone unturned. Every single transaction, every dollar, every cent she'd stolen or defrauded was documented and ready to be presented for the court's review. My forensic accountant had done a stellar job, and to prevent any last-ditch attempts to flee with funds, I successfully arranged for Tiffany's remaining assets to be frozen. She couldn't sell anything, couldn't transfer money. She was financially trapped. The final critical court date was officially set. It wasn't just for the child custody hearing, it was for the overarching financial fraud cases, the civil suits, the professional misconduct hearings. It was going to be a legal tsunami. I reflected on the arduous journey. The anger had subsided, replaced by a cold, unwavering resolve. Justice was finally within reach. There was a quiet, terrifying calm before the storm. Tiffany had no idea how hard she was about to fall, but she was about to find out. This was it, the big one, the payoff. The long, arduous journey had led to this moment. The highly anticipated court hearings commenced, marking the beginning of Tiffany's public downfall. I sat there calm but with a fierce intensity, watching her. She looked smaller, her usual arrogance replaced by a brittle facade of defiance. She had no idea the tidal wave that was about to hit her. My legal team presented the overwhelming, irrefutable evidence. Every forged document, every stolen dollar, every secret transaction, every recorded conversation. It was a mountain of proof detailing Tiffany's extensive fraud, theft, and deliberate deceit. The court was silent as the evidence piled up, a chilling narrative of greed and betrayal. Greg, her former lawyer-turned-fiancé, was a key witness. He delivered damning testimony, detailing what he knew of her schemes, painting a complete picture of Tiffany's criminality from the inside. Other witnesses followed. Mr. Goldstein from the jewelry store, Angie, her sister, former colleagues she tried to blackmail. One by one, they laid bare Tiffany's character, confirming every sordid detail we'd uncovered. She had no allies left. Then came Chloe. My brave daughter. Her testimony was powerful and heartfelt, delivered with the quiet wisdom of a child who had seen too much. She spoke of her mom's anger, her lies, how she always felt like a burden. She spoke of wanting to live with me, where she felt safe and loved. Her words profoundly impacted the judge, exposing Tiffany's cruel manipulation and neglect. I could see the judge's expression, a mixture of pity for Chloe and utter disgust for Tiffany. The judge ruled decisively. Full and sole custody of Chloe was granted to me. Tiffany sat there stunned, her face a mask of disbelief. She tried to protest, but her lawyer just put a hand on her arm, silencing her. It was over. My daughter was finally safe. But the consequences for Tiffany didn't stop there. She was found liable on multiple counts of fraud and theft. The financial judgments against her were devastating. far exceeding anything she could ever hope to pay back. The money she'd stolen from her mother, the fraudulent loans, the hidden assets she tried to liquidate, it all came crashing down. The Illinois State Bar Association moved swiftly. Her paralegal license was revoked, effectively ending her career. She faced formal disbarment from her prestigious firm. The career she had built, the one she flaunted, was gone. The Wilmette House, that symbol of her ambition, was officially foreclosed upon. The banks moved in, seizing it. All her remaining assets were lost. The luxury cars, the designer clothes, the expensive jewelry, the few pieces she hadn't already pawned, it was all gone. She was left destitute, with nothing but a mountain of debt. And then, the Attorney General's office, armed with all our evidence, swiftly moved forward with formal criminal charges. Grand larceny, identity theft, multiple counts of fraud. Tiffany now faces significant jail time. Her life, as she knew it, was irrevocably shattered. Her carefully constructed world of lies and appearances had imploded, leaving behind only ruin. For Chloe, though, it was a new beginning. I established a secure and stable future for her, both financially and emotionally, free from Tiffany's toxic influence. We moved back into our familiar Oak Forest house, where she could finally feel safe and loved. Chloe began to heal, to thrive, to flourish in my loving and protective care. She started smiling again, truly smiling. My businesses continued to prosper, my empire now secure and free from past drama. The hard work, the resilience, the street smarts I learned as a kid, they had saved me, and now they had saved Chloe. I reflect on the long, arduous journey, the rage, the jail time, the meticulous planning. Finally, there is a profound sense of peace. Not the peace of forgetting, but the peace of true justice. The moral consequences for Tiffany were complete, devastating, and entirely self-inflicted. It was a truly nuclear revenge, exacted with precision and without a single regret. The consequences of Tiffany's betrayal were not just immediate. They were profound and continued to unfold. NGL, her life is irrevocably shattered. She lost everything she valued, her career, her supposed high society status, her expensive home, and worst of all, her relationship with Chloe. The financial judgments against her are insurmountable, leaving her completely destitute. She's facing significant jail time, a criminal record that will follow her forever, and a reputation that is beyond repair. There's no escaping the legal and social fallout. For me and Chloe, though, life has finally found peace. Chloe is thriving, no longer burdened by her mother's erratic and toxic behavior. My businesses are stronger than ever, built on integrity, not lies. It's a stark reminder that choices have